What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So as y'all know, we are going to be in the last month here in season 5, which is honestly pretty insane. And on top of that, it's going to be a new month. We're going to have basically a new summit every week, and that is going to have some new-ish rewards and also some questionable ones on top of it. We're then going to have the full battery, which is going to be the special vehicle that's part of the final month. I gotta admit, this thing is going to be interesting. It is going to be the Rimac. The only thing I am wondering about, though, looking at that photo, is it kind of looks like a regular version of it that is going to be black and green. So, yeah, I'm not really too sure. We're then going to have the Forces of Nature here, which has a helicopter in it, which I would say that cover photo is going to be pretty dang dope, gotta admit it. We're then going to have the Red Storm Underglow there, also the Pontiac GTO, the Judge, which funnily enough, that's probably one of my favorite looking rally raid vehicles in the game. We're then going to have the Ford Motorfest selection similar to the McLaren one. That is also going to give us a blue nitro, and I honestly don't understand it. We are then going to have a Ford Mustang GT Fastback, which is the car that's been in the game basically forever. We are then going to have the first summit here, which is the one everybody is going to be doing because it's the first one. That is going to get us the Fire vs. Lightning Underglow, which is honestly kind of mid. Then we're also going to have the Dodge Challenger SRT8 there in gold. Going to get ourselves some perf parts and 100,000 XP. Also, though, quick mention before I do jump into the summit here in a second, there's something I gotta admit here. I really do hope going into Season 6 they're going to do something differently with the summit and also the main stage rewards, guys. Like, I do hope they end up changing this stuff. Probably going to make it better and most likely a lot more worthwhile to go after it, because I would say a lot of the times right now, most players jump on the final month, or at least the final week of this month, I should say, because the other way wasn't right. That way you can then jump on and get the car, and that is basically it. I would say a lot of players are probably not jumping on for an Underglow or even a Blue Nitro, because honestly the rewards are pretty terrible. I really do hope we do end up seeing something different in Season 6, because I feel like if they keep following this said route, I'm really wondering what is going to happen to the player base of this game. I just gotta say it. Besides that, though, looking at the entire summit here, guys, is going to be fully racing. You're pretty much going to have to use a Porsche and also the Volkswagen, at least that's what I ended up doing, because I really do love that vehicle. We are then going to have an Escape, a Slalom, and a Low Altitude. I gotta admit, these three skills are going to be so dang easy to do. Still, to this day, I really hope they do end up changing this, because the skills are honestly going to take basically no effort whatsoever, at least about 90% of the time, and even for this escape, that is honestly pretty easy. For the low altitude, though, you basically spawn in, guys, hit that objective, stay on the water, and that is basically it. For the escape, though, is probably going to be a tad more harder to do. I would say for this one, the best way to do it, once you guys spawn in, basically turn around, go down the road a bit, and then head back toward the objective. For me, I did end up using the 919 Street. You could probably run any hypercar of your liking, because that's basically the only vehicle you can run on these anyway. But besides that, though, heading on that road, basically hit the mountain to your right, head over that, watch out for the trees, jump onto the road, and, well, basically follow that as far as you can possibly go. You are then going to get around 3 or so thousand yards, will easily get you over 150,000. To be honest, I would say this escape was pretty dang simple. Besides that, though, the final skill here is going to be a slalom. For this, once again, you can basically run any class of your liking as long as you are running a score breaker set. As you guys can see, I did end up using a lovely demolition derby car this time. Instead of using a motocross bike, you can legit run anything. That's why I kind of find it funny how people run Alpha GP like you don't have to use them. I am legitimately 100 points behind people running those using a demolition derby, and let's be real, Demolition Derby is kinda terrible. Besides that, though, let's move over to the events here. So the first one I figured I would talk about, or I guess you could say two of them, because they're both going to be incredibly similar. Overheated is going to be around 50 or so seconds, and Ultra Rapid Fire is going to be around 30 to probably 35-ish seconds. For both of these events, though, they are going to be the ones you would end up encountering in the lovely Lowrider playlist, to where you're going to have to get 3 perfect boosts and a star, or at least hitting the button when it's going to be red. That way you can get all 3 nitruses and then follow a very short course to the end of it. Funny part is the first one here is going to be overheated in the Porsche 917K, and I gotta admit it's going to be fairly simple. Basically, in this one, guys, do not forget the shift, and also don't use all three nitruses right away. You might want to save one toward like the end of it, or at least toward like the middle or 3/4 of it. That way you hit it, and you're going to have more speed overall. And then for the ultra rapid fire, though, I did end up using the lovely Mercedes AMG GT3. For this one, you could probably run a few different cars like the Porsche 911 GT3, or even something like the 917K, maybe the 911 Carrera. But I would recommend trying out a few of these cars, seeing which one you do end up liking. One thing I did notice, though, is even on this one, it was a pretty awful start. I could easily be a tad faster, but to be real, I do not see a point of doing it. Kind of where I'm at with many of these summits nowadays, but for this one, I was basically following the AI, kind of like slipstreaming them, and it was making me so much faster, even on a level 1 difficulty. So I don't know if that was because I had a terrible start, or I was just managing to follow them, or that's how they probably did end up doing the event, which I would say is going to make you much quicker. For the other one, though, we're going to have flames and lightning. For this, you have to use the Porsche 917K again, and I gotta admit, this car is fairly decent. I got around 2 minutes and 47 seconds. Again, I'm not running any pro settings on any of these vehicles at all in the Summit. I gotta say, even stock pro settings, the 917 is fairly decent. Keep in mind on this race, though, it is going to be the one where it's basically you versus one single AI on the other side of it, and it's going to be like a wall separating both of you. There is going to be a lot of sharp corners, so do be careful in it. Like, don't speed toward it, try to slam your brakes and go around it, because the wall is drastically going to slow you down in this. We're then going to have the other event here, which is going to be Supercharged. Again, you have to pick an electric vehicle on both of these, so I kind of picked the electric car in all three of these events because I love it. For this one, though, guys, it is going to be a minute and 50 or so seconds. It's fairly quick. Or you're probably going to be like me a bit, most likely playing the event multiple times to get used to it, probably following the best routes and obviously finding the best way to corner and stuff. And with that, you're probably going to notice where the best zones are for the nitrous itself, and boom, you will end up being able to use all the nitrous, get ready for the next one, always keeping your speed up in these events. I feel like that's probably one of the best ways to do it. And this will also end up going for the electric race as well, because you will then have to get the nitrous from the ground things. That way you're probably going to have to figure out like, okay, I can use it here, get my speed up, get ready for the next one, get my nitrous back up, slow down, speed up in these corners, and then boom, I get my nitrous there. So I would say it's going to be some strategy and stuff, making sure you can be the fastest as you can in certain areas, knowing exactly where the nitrous actually is. To be honest, I would say these events are fairly simple. The last one here, though, is going to be on a racetrack, and again, I use the electric R. I know, shocking, probably not going to be all that surprising, but this car is going to be fantastic without any pro settings, so I would recommend it. But this is going to be on the track, and it's in racing, so guess what that does mean? You probably guessed it right, you are going to have to use iron grip on this. Now, you might be wondering, well, Blocked, how do I end up doing that? Is it going to help? One way you can do this, which yes, I would recommend it, head over to your legend points, and you're probably going to have all of these maxed out by now because, the game has been out for a straight minute. Head over to gameplay here, though. It's going to be iron grip, guys. Put 20 on it. That is going to give you a 20%, which is definitely going to help. Besides that, head over to your vehicles. If you're like me, you probably have another set. Heading over to racing here. Let me go find this real quick. Is this the right set? There we go. So I have iron grip and pure on this here. Let me go show this thing a little bit better. There we go, guys. So you're going to see it's not going to be a perfect set, but it is going to be fairly simple. That way you can run this in the race. And if you are wondering, if you have iron grip on the vehicle and you also have the driver perk active, you will not have to worry about losing grip at all in the entire event, and you're not going to have to pit. In fact, I still think I was over halfway on the bar of iron grip at the end of the event, so do keep that in mind, guys. It's worth it. Even if you have to go in, change one of your part sets, I would recommend doing that. It really does help so much. Besides that, though, that is pretty much going to do it for the first summit of the month. I gotta admit, it was decently fun, but at the same time, it's just, I feel like the summits really need some type of overhaul. Looking at some of the rewards and stuff, I feel like players might look and most likely not even play to the final part of the month. That way they can go after the Rimac, which I have to say is honestly not all that great looking.